Hey guys, Goldbacker00 here. You're going to have to forgive me on this one. I've got my fan running, and I'm sure it's going to be an annoying, constant noise in the background, but there's just nothing I can do about it right now. It's about 81 degrees in my room, and those who know me know I really do not fare well in the heat. I'm a cold weather person, for sure, and I do have a window air conditioner unit that would probably fix the issue, but trust me, it's 10 times louder than this, and you probably wouldn't even be able to hear me. So the fan's just kind of the best option I have at the moment. Now that that's out of the way, I've got kind of a cool one today that I think people are going to enjoy. I have been collecting Goldbacks for about a year now, and I do understand, trust me, I do understand that the main purpose of Goldbacks is not to be a collectible. They're meant to be a money instrument. But that said, I do think that just like all other, currencies, monetary notes, bills, coins, those types of things, they also they also sort of build these collectors markets, and the Goldback is no exception. There are rare notes, there are notes that have some errors, there are notes that have really cool stories, and all of them are a part of history at this point, because it's still very early on in this movement, this Goldback movement, in the sound money movement, and these are going to be very cool to have down the road for that reason. For me personally, I don't want to profit off of this. My intention is not to have these until they're worth a pretty penny and then go sell them or anything like that. My intention is I want to use these for exactly what I'm doing today. I want to use these to tell Goldback's story. Those of you that know me in the Goldback Discord and maybe on Reddit know that I have been promising to make this video for quite some time. I'm a procrastinator. I apologize, and my work schedule is pretty demanding. I just started a new job probably 4 or 5 months ago, and I've just been working continuously, so I already was procrastinating, and then that happened, and there was just no shot. So, but I found some time. I have a few days here, so I figured, you know what? Let me invest some of that time and go ahead and finally make good on that promise to make this video. So the Goldback. I'm just going to kind of give a general background here because I have videos specifically dedicated to like what the Goldback is. If you're totally new to it, that may interest you. If not, and you want to watch this, that's cool too. Just know that there's other videos with some more information on the subject. So the Goldback is the actual money instrument. Goldback Inc. is the company that actually produces them. So the Goldbacks are the monetary instrument. Goldback Inc. is the company that produces them, but the company that actually is contracted to manufacture them and uses their patented technology to do so is Arum Inc. So let's just jump straight into it. I also am recording another video today that may interest you, it may not. It's going to be a little bit more long form where I'm going to kind of go over the in-depth. I have my notes in front of me, that's what I was pointing at. I'm going to be going over the in-depth history of Goldback. But this video right here is going to be the one that's a little bit more visually appealing. I'm actually going to open this thing, but not yet. Consider joining us on the Goldback Reddit and also on the Goldback Discord. If you go to my channel, I'm going to have a link to my Linktree both on my channel, and I'll try to remember to have it in the video description as well. If you click on that link to my Linktree, in there's going to be a link that says join the Discord, join the UPMA, that type stuff. If you go to the one that mentions the Discord, you will join the group where members in Goldback Inc. actually participate and chat, and also some of the major players in this movement. We're all friendly, we don't bite usually, and we'll answer any questions you have within reason. So please consider joining. It's a great place to be, filled with some great people. But yeah, jumping right into it. I keep all my Goldbacks in these Uncle Paul. Let me see if I can get the focus. I'm at an angle, so it's like I have to constantly keep adjusting the focus from the far to the near end. You know what I'm saying? But I keep all my Goldbacks, all my collectible Goldbacks, in these Uncle Paul folders. It just happened to be the first binder that I had purchased to put my Goldbacks in, and I kind of wanted to be consistent. So I have about 8 or 9 of them now, and I separate them by years. and series. So specifically in this binder, I've got the 2019 to 2020 Goldbacks, and specifically for the Utah, Nevada, and New Hampshire series. So cracking this bad boy open. We've got my fancy schmancy index card here that's totally not handwritten. That's the one thing I didn't go all out on, was getting some fancy index card or something like that. I just hand wrote them. So we'll start out with the first Goldbacks ever, which are the 2019 Utahs. That's in the first section. So I keep my Goldbacks in this binder. The way that I do that, so I keep the Goldback itself in one of these currency sleeves. They're large currency sleeves, and they hold every denomination from the 1 Goldback all the way up to the 50. That way they're protected in these sleeves, but the sleeves also go into these binder pages that just happen to absolutely perfectly fit the sleeves. So the Goldback notes are actually double protected. And then I keep the entire binder in a climate controlled area, secured in an undisclosed location, with an undisclosed security apparatus, the least of which is not the Second Amendment. But the only reason I go to such extremes is because these are my collector ones. Goldbacks are actually incredibly durable. There's actually been a video released by Goldback Inc. where they challenged people to try and rip them in half. And even the strong guys coming out of the gym could not do it. Now, they will take a crease. As a matter of fact, let me show you the one from my wallet here. I carry this around all day, every day, and believe me, this thing gets beat to hell and back. I've purposely damaged this thing. That's why the corners are so screwed up. I just wanted to get a feel for how durable they were. I have folded it in half. They will take a crease, and you'll see that you can actually see through the center of it. This one's a 2020 Utah. But it's got its gold in it, and the thing's durable as shit. I physically would not be able to rip this thing in half if I tried, trust me. But I feel like I've tortured this poor soul enough already, so I'm going to just leave it be. I just carry that thing around in my wallet every day because I use it as a talking point. I'll pull it out and talk to people, and I have yet to meet one person who was just totally disinterested. So for 2019, you have the 1 Goldback, the 5 Goldback, and the 10 Goldback, all for the Utah series. When these were coming out, they were not even sure if they were going to be releasing another series. The Nevada and New Hampshire series were very quick to occur afterward, but they did not. But they were not part of the original plan. As a matter of fact, the original website was utahgoldback.com, and they were referred to as Utah Goldbacks. On that note, those of you familiar with defythegrid.com will know that they are some awesome people. And they actually sold me this vintage Goldback sign from really early on. If you see here, it says Utah Goldbacks, except here it's in the original packaging. That's just for collector's value. But people would physically take these and hang them up on the front of their store to show people that they took these. And it actually contains, these are actual Goldbacks in here. Hello. They're just so gosh darn shiny. It's hard to film a video with Goldbacks. That's the only difficulty. But yeah, originally it was just the Utah Goldback. They weren't sure if they were going to come out with another series or not. It only occurred after popular demand. People in Nevada, and especially New Hampshire with the new state project, and all the liberty lovers there, all but demanded that they come out with their own series. But that's how early we are at this point. There is only the Utah Goldback. And then another interesting thing, they released the 1, 5, and then the 10, I believe. At the very beginning, there was only the 1 and the 5, and then I believe they came out with the 10. The second to last Goldback to be manufactured was the 50, and then the very last Goldback to be manufactured was actually the 25. It probably was because it took some engineering prowess in order to actually design and manufacture the 50 Goldback. There's some information out there about that on some of my other videos. But the 1 Goldback was actually the smallest arum product that they had produced. Goldback Inc. requested that it was 1/1000th of an ounce, which was the smallest arum product that Valorum had made. As a matter of fact, if it was any thinner, it would be translucent. So it's kind of astonishing that they were able to get it that thin. And then the 50 was the largest arum product that they had made. So they probably were going from like, all right, here's the smallest. Let's work our way up. Let's jump up. Let's get to the finish line. finish that one, and then we can work our way backwards and then make the 25 half that amount of gold. These 50s, man, they actually have some dang heft to them. Like, you can even see in how thick they are when you're not holding them. But believe me, they have a decent amount of heft when you're holding them. That's a 20th of an ounce, man. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but an ounce sounds like a lot when it's two things: precious metals, or you're in the military carrying junk in your backpack. So believe me, it definitely feels like it has some heft. So that's 2019. They started coming out with these towards the end months, and they were only manufacturing for that short period of time. So they only produced like but so many of them. But the Utah series obviously didn't end. It continued for the subsequent years. So here we are for 2020, where you also have the 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50 Utah Goldbacks for 2020. But the new series came out in 2020 called the Nevada Goldback. And all the denominations are the same for all the other series: 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50. And that's what these look like. But wait, what is this? New Hampshire. That's right. The New Hampshire series is my favorite for many reasons. A, I love New Hampshire and the Liberty lovers who live there. I just love the culture behind it. But as far as the Goldback series, I love it because it has the most interesting story, in my opinion. They weren't released until 2021, a few months into 2021, actually. But at the time, they were planning on these being released in 2020, along with Nevada. But the demand was just so gosh darn high that it caused some issues and they had to delay the release. But some of these, like you'll see on all of these ones, they're all minted in 2020. Believe it or not, these 2020 New Hampshire Goldbacks are even more rare than the 2019 Goldbacks the first years because of the manufacturing constraints and the delayed release. Now the 1, 5, and 10 2020 Goldbacks are rare enough, but the rarest by far are the 25 and especially the 50 2020 New Hampshire Goldback. Now, for those of you who are collectors in other precious metals products or coins and that type of stuff, you may be familiar with calling something the key to the series. As far as Goldbacks go, the 50 New Hampshire Goldback is by far the rarest Goldback that was ever produced. Less than 2,000 of them were ever minted, and even less survive today, and certainly even less in such good condition. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 of them, because one of them is graded with a star 70 rating, and then this one was ungraded. I wanted it in my binder. And believe me, I paid dearly for it. They are very expensive even now. As years go on, I anticipate it to become even more expensive and valuable. But yep, this is the most rare Goldback that was ever produced. And then these are just my overflows. So these are my other 2019 1 Utahs that I just happen to have. And then the 10 Utah 2019s that I also happen to have. Now, fun fact on this one right here, because you're going to think, well, what the heck? Why is it in such abysmal shape? A, and B, why are you taking care of it in a protector if that's the case? Like, I'm pretty sure you can see through. Yeah, you can. Right here, you can see the light through it. It's beat to crap, man. And I paid way too much for it. I think I paid like $14 for this. But this was the first Goldback I ever owned. I'm never getting rid of it. It's important to me. And it's a reminder as to why I got to be, a little bit more careful about where and how I buy things. Certainly especially for collector's value. But that one's special to me because that's the first one I ever owned, and I'm never getting rid of it. So those are the first 2 years of Goldback production right there, the 2019 and 2020 Goldbacks. Now, funnily enough, I also had to get an entire binder just to fill with my overflow of 2020s, because I ended up getting such a surplus of 2020s, they wouldn't fit all in that one binder. They're just too thick with all the protectors and the sleeves and all that stuff. So I'll just take a quick glance at all my 2020 overflows. Single Utah 2020, single Utah 2020. And then here's the Nevada 2021s. Here's an interesting thing about the Nevadas for 2020. It's kind of hard to tell because when they're in the light, you can still see the detail even when they're faded. But for the 2020 single Goldback Nevada series notes, the first ones that were minted, there was actually a mint error, which caused the ink to be super faded. Let me grab a modern day one to compare it to. For comparison, here's a 2021, and as you can see, it's just way more defined. See how that one's faded, and this one is just super crisp. Believe it or not, it's gotten more crisp because they updated a lot of the artwork in 2022 and then 2023. And as a matter of fact, the 2024s just came out. I haven't gotten any just yet, but I'm pretty sure they're even more crisp with each subsequent year. But the ink was definitely faded on these 2020 single Nevada Goldbacks. And that was just because of a mint error. I've got quite a few of the singles because that's an error. And I kind of want to preserve that history. And then all the 2020 New Hampshires, which, as I mentioned, are the most rare. The singles are not super rare, but they're still worth keeping. If you get any New Hampshire Goldbacks from 2020, keep them. Keep them, take care of them. They have numismatic value to collectors. And if you want to trade them, if your only interest is purchasing power because you're not much of a collector, you could sell it and then purchase more Goldback, because someone will desire to have that for their collection. And that way you're not just circulating one that's valuable. So I've got several pages of these Nevada 2020 singles. Even more, even more, even more, even more, even more. And then we get into the 10s. I was actually able to get these for only 150% of face value. Which, for those of you who are not a collector, are like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But if you're a collector, trust me, these things go for a lot more than 150% face. And I believe I got 16 of them. These things are selling for about $250 or $300 a piece right now, because so few were manufactured and they're just so gosh darn rare. So when I was able to acquire them for so cheap, I just absolutely jumped on them and did that. And this is where I keep all of them. And that's it from my 2020 overflows. And to the 2021s. Now, we did see a bit of this already because the single Nevada Goldback that I used to compare was from this. So we'll see that one again in here. And you'll see on my professional sign again. We've got the 2021s for all 4 series, or for all 3 series that were released up to that point, and also the overflows for 2021. I don't think I have quite as many for 2021. A few were like sent to me in error, like when I went to go buy 2022 Goldback to fill out that collection. They might have sent me a 2021 by error or something like that. So a few were sent to me in error, and I just added them to this in the overflow. But I didn't like purposely collect them or anything like that. Of course, the Utah series continued into 2021. I don't see that ever changing. The Nevada series also continued into 2021. This would be the second year for Nevadas. However, sadly enough, I still have to collect the 2021 Nevada 25 and 50. But I do have the Utah and New Hampshires for 2021, so that makes me happy at least. And it's not like it's super difficult to find these. I just have yet to go out and get them. Although I should hop on it because they're only going to get more rare as time goes on. You know what I mean? So these ones were actually minted closer to or after the release of the New Hampshire series, because these are all minted in 2021, which is when the New Hampshire Goldbacks were actually released. So you have the 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50 New Hampshire. The New Hampshire series is my favorite, especially the 50. It's just so gosh darn beautiful. Interesting thing of note, the New Hampshire series was the last series to be designed by Cherry Jensen, Chris Jensen's mother. And her signature is actually on these as well. So at this point, the New Hampshire Goldbacks are fully released. And the 2021s are still the first year, even though they're ones for 2020. They're still worth keeping, but they're not nearly as rare as the 2020s. And then here's my overflow for 2021. Looks like I've got a single Utah, a few single Nevadas, a few more single Nevadas, even more single Nevadas, even more. I still have, and even more. I have no idea where I got all these. I must have got a really good deal or something. I'm on fire. You hear that? Here's a 5 New Hampshire 2021 that I apparently got somehow that I didn't need for my original fill. And here is a really interesting one. These are a reproduction of the iQuint, which was essentially, I won't get too far into it in this, but it was a precursor to the Goldback. It was kind of like a crypto arum hybrid. About 20% of the value of the note was actually in the metal, and I think like 80% of it was in the ledger for the crypto that was associated with these. But I believe that they were meant to be actual legal tender. I'm not sure if they are, or what the status is of that. That was a precursor project to the Goldback, and I think these were made for Goldback Inc. by Valorum. That's why I have them in my Goldback binder, because I do have binders that are for other Valorum products that are not specifically Goldbacks. That's it for 2021. Now in 2022, we have the Utah, Nevada, and New Hampshire series continuing, but the Wyoming series was released. Also released in 2022 was the Silverback. That's a really interesting one. Though I got to find a way to remove this. That's the problem with writing on these binders. I shouldn't have done it. I actually moved all my Silverbacks to their own binder, so none of them are in here. So it kind of stinks that I have that written on there, but they're not in here. It's even on my fancy schmancy index here. This book's making me a friggin' liar. So we'll just speed through these, but not too fast, because if you take a peek-see, the art was actually improved for many of these in 2022. I can't remember off the top of my head which series, but many of them were actually improved. This is when they did an overhaul of the art on the Goldbacks, as well as updated, I guess, I'm not sure how you would word it, the DPI, the definition, whatever, including the security features and text, not just the artwork. But yeah, it's true. If you have a 2022 or newer Goldback and you have some of the older ones, put them side by side, you'll see what I'm talking about. They look much more crisp. So yes, the Utah series continued into 2022, as did Nevada. I also unfortunately do not have the 2022 Nevada 25 or 50 Goldbacks, but that series continued into 2022, as did New Hampshire. And these are the last two notes that I do not have collected. Also the 25 and 50 of the same year, but for New Hampshire. Now I do have all of the 2022 Wyoming Goldbacks, but I don't have them ungraded. I'm not sure if I'm going to go out of my way to get ones that are ungraded and put them in the binder. It would certainly be nice to fill them in the page, but I have them all graded. But we'll get to that at the end, because I'm going to bring out my graded Goldbacks towards the end. So just believe me, I have them. They're just not in here. And I guess, what is this? Overflow? Yeah, I remember. These are a couple that were sent to me in error. A 2022 Utah and Nevada single. And that's it for 2022. And we're on to the last one that I actually have collected, because I actually haven't gone out and gotten the 2024s just yet. I'm waiting for some of the special edition graded Goldbacks to come out for South Dakota, and then I'll just get them all at once. So the 2023 is actually the last year that I have. But trust me, I am going to get the 2024s. And unfortunately, I expected that the Silverback would come out in 2023 and they would continue the series. They didn't. So I wrote that on there, and I also have to remove it from this one. Gosh darn it. But for 2023, there was the Utah, Nevada, New Hampshire, Wyoming, and South Dakota series. The brand new one was South Dakota. I don't have the ungraded ones, just like I don't have the ungraded Wyomings just yet. So cracking this one open. Utah obviously continued. Here's all those really quick. Nevada continued into 2023. It didn't just fall off the map. New Hampshire ain't going anywhere. I will never stand for it. Here's the 25 and 50. I do have the Wyomings for 2023, because I didn't want to go out and spend $800 for the graded ones that weren't the first years, but I did want to have copies for the 2023 versions. And then here's the 25 and 50. And I don't have all of the ungraded South Dakotas, but I do have the single South Dakota ungraded. And this one's just a regular one. It's not the Alpha Edition or anything like that. But in this last little section here, we have some overflow for the New Hampshire 2023s, and then we also have our two Alpha Edition ungraded South Dakota Goldbacks. One has the COI, one does not. but they are both alpha editions. Now, what do I mean by alpha edition? Now, if I zoom in here, so moving to the bottom of the note here, along the stripe on the left, it's dated 2023. Just to the left of that, there is this Greek symbol for alpha, denoting that this is an alpha series Goldback. Now, what are the alpha series Goldbacks? The alpha series Goldbacks are a special edition that are just for collectors like myself. They basically are the first ones that were minted for when a new series comes out, and 2023 was the first year South Dakota came out. The first ones that were minted also were minted with that A, denoting that they were the first vintage. So there's nothing special about them. There's nothing that like helps you in terms of circulation, purchasing power, or anything like that. They're strictly for collectors. They're nice to have if you are collecting all the dates and series and denomination sizes like I am. And that is the last year that I have all of them. I will do one of these also for 2024. Don't have it yet. And that's that. So what else do I have to show off that is related? Well, I didn't label this one, but this is where I keep all my fancy schmancy silverbacks. Now the Silverback series was made for Goldback. You can see right there it says Goldback on it. It was made in conjunction with Silver Dragons, that YouTuber who's popular in the precious metal space. But these were strictly a collector's item, much like the Alpha editions. These really aren't meant to circulate. Now, they are a proof of concept in their own way that these can be made for a circulating silverback as a co-currency if silver ever realizes what we all believe is its true value. But as it stands, this is only about 2 cents worth of silver, and they retail for about $10 minimum, I believe. Now, these were limited to 100,000 made, and it's written on them as well what number they are. Instead of a serial number, it has number, like this one's 5,716 of 100,000. That's the only one with that number. So it is kind of a serial number. But much like the Goldback, these have a reverse negative image on the rear, on the reverse, and it's a perfect embossment of all of the writing and some of the artwork on the front as well, which is also a security feature, including the serial number. So you can see it right there, the reverse of 5716, just like it is on the front. Yeah, good luck counterfeiting that. But these were so gosh darn cheap to begin with. It's the first of its technology. Arum notes have been being manufactured for, 9-10 years, something like that. This was the first silver arum ever made. And like I said, if silver ever reaches its potential price, there's a real potential that these could be a circulating currency. And so few people would have bought these, except for collectors, when they're worth 2 cents in melt value, that they may be incredibly desirable if in 5-10 years there's an actual silverback co-currency along the Goldback, and these were released really early on as just a collectible. So I have I think like 35 of these or something like that, something crazy like that. And obviously I can only have 3. Now the ones that are actually together, these are sequential. So this one, 5716, 5717, 5718, and then I go to the next page and it's 5719, and then I don't have 2 with it because there's a break in the sequence. So those 4 are sequence. Let's see how many of these are in a sequence. That's another 4 in a sequence because it's a break. And then it looks like 3, 6, 9, 11, if my math is right. All in a sequence, and then there's another break. Unless there happened to be a break that just happened to be divisible by 3. I'm not looking that closely right now, honestly. But it looks like this one's not in a sequence, it's just by itself. But you see, I have a decent amount of these because I'm such a fan of silver, and I love this design of the Silverback. An interesting thing about this technology, this silver is supposed to never tarnish because of the way it's coated and how it's contained in the polymer layer. It's sandwiched in there. It's not supposed to oxidize. So in theory, these will stay just as lustrous as they are today, 50, 100, 150 years from now. I guess we'll have to wait and see how that holds up. But so far, they are looking as shiny as the day I got them. And gosh darn, they are pretty. So that's my silverbacks. But as my final binder, I've got this other unlabeled one. This one is pretty cool because although these are not directly related to Goldback, they are related to Valorum. And I kind of keep these as contextual significance for the Goldback and Goldback's history. So the first page are these arum notes that were released to commemorate the, I guess, royal wedding between these two. I don't know. I don't follow royalty. I don't live in America to worship royalty. You know what I'm saying? No shade to those who do. I just don't. These are actually legal tender, believe it or not, in the Cook Islands. This is a $5 bill in the Cook Islands. And that's denoted by the 5. And also, if you look on the reverse, arum, 100th ounce, 24 karat gold, $5 legal tender 2018 Cook Islands. And it's got the queen or something. So those were the first legal tender arum note to ever exist, to ever be minted or created. And that happened back in 2018. Now I'm just going to kind of gloss over these. Maybe I can make a video on them if people are interested. But that's not really what this video is about, so I'm just going to kind of gloss over them. The Republic of Ghana also made the SETI, or SETI, or however you pronounce it, note. That's an arum note. They're actually quite beautiful, to be honest with you. And the first one's got a COI. The Republic of Cameroon, 100 francs, 1,000 troy ounce, also got a COA. These are my favorite ones of all these that are not Goldbacks, technically, but they're arum notes. They're just so pretty. They're just so good looking. And I like the texture on them as well. That's got a COA. And there's actually 2 designs. So here's the first one. So here's the first one for Tanzania. And then here's the second one right here. Also got a COA. Here's a part of the back right there. Not sure how to pronounce that, so I'm not going to try. I'm not going to embarrass myself. Here's a COA. That's another. This is another. These are all legal tender notes so far. The Republic of Ghana also has another one that they came out with. And what year is this? 2022. Here's the back of that. Also got a COA. Now these ones are pretty cool because these are not legal tender on my right. These are not legal tender. You zoom in a little bit here. You'll see it says limited edition. And you'll see 2016. That's pretty dang early. That's why I wanted to get them. I mean, if you look on here, it even says patents pending, not legal tender. The fact that the patent was still pending is just really cool to me to see that on an arum note. These are going to be cool to have for context, for the history of Goldbacks and such. And believe it or not, these actually came with a COA as well, even though they're not legal tender. This one is an interesting one I picked up. This is like, I'm not sure if this is a legitimate gold. I don't think it is. But it's just like this like gold thing for Ethereum. And I just kind of wanted to show like in contrast. So that's why I picked this up. There's no way I would actually stack these or anything. Just look at the quality difference between the two of these. I don't know if this is real gold. But like, let's say they made a fake Goldback, for example. Are you not going to be able to tell the difference between the two of these? The thickness is wrong, the rigidity is wrong, the image doesn't look as crisp, there's no negative image on it. It doesn't even look like gold. It's just there's no way you're gonna fall for it. So yeah, I just have this for context. Oh, here's a really cool one coming up. I can see it through the page. I got this from my good friend Daniel. Thank you so much, Daniel, for helping me get this. He actually lives in Utah. This right here was a promotional item that Goldback was utilizing for a while. You see it's made in the style of a Federal Reserve note, but it says on the top, redeem at Alpine Gold Exchange Goldback certificate, 1 Goldback payable to bearer on demand. You know, it's just really cool. And they made these not for circulation or anything like that. It was just a promotional item. But it even says on there, this note is not legal tender. And it says Sears 1000. Here's Chris Jensen, Secretary of Treasurer. That's really cool. I never noticed that. And it also has Jeremy Corden, President, signed right there. It's really cool. I never noticed those details. Now on the reverse of this thing is a map on how to get to the Alpine Gold Exchange in Alpine, Utah, their phone number and the area and stuff like that. And it says on the left, hey, you know, present it to redeem your free Goldback today. Really cool promotional items. I love collecting anything that has Goldback on it because, again, it's all about the history for me, and that's what I want to preserve. So it's really cool that I get to have this, and believe me, this is staying with my collection forever. And it will be used to tell the story. Here's another item that I got just for context. Some of you may know what these are already. This is one of those carrot bars or something like that. Cash gold. And what this was is this had a little 10th gram nadir bar in it. And that's all the gold in this note. The rest of it was just to make it easier for, I guess, like anti-counterfeiting and make it easier to handle. But here's what it looks like out of the holder. See, cash gold, carrot pay. Now these guys, as I'm recording this, are actually out of business now. In gold we trust. I don't like that. None of it's possible without Jesus, y'all. And on the reverse, carrot bar and gold we trust. Someone's signature, warranty of certification, 0.1 gram. You know, these were, people were saying, you know, well, we could just use these. Why do we need the Goldback? If we really got to use gold, and we're not just going to use fractional. So that was one of the arguments, right? Lo and behold, they ended up getting raided or something like that by some authority. I think that they were doing something illegal. The premiums were absolutely ridiculous. Like, people complain about the Goldback premiums. At least you retained it on the back end. Like, you could only spend this for 1/10 of a gram's worth of gold. There's really not much value retained in the rest of it on the back end when you went to spend it. And then that's it in this one. So yeah, I've got some arum notes in this one and some odds and ends, like competitors that really are not doing so great in competing. Now that's it for the binders. I've already showed my vintage Utah Goldback sign. Now last but not least, I've got two of these I'd like to crack open. And these are my graded arum notes. These ones right here are all my Goldbacks that are graded. Goldback products. And these are in no particular order. They were all just kind of in there. So we'll just kind of run through these and I'll explain them as we go and then set them to the side. So this first one right here, as you can see written on the top, is a 2020 Nevada Goldback, first day of issue. So this is one of the first mintages of the Nevada Goldback. And this is the one Goldback. Same thing for the 5. We've also got the 10, the 25, and the big boy 50. All first day of issue. And all star gem, which means that they're in perfect mint condition. I know the holder's a little scratched up, but that's just the holder. Inside the Goldback's in perfect condition. And then we get to the super rare guys right here. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, they came out in 2021, some were minted in 2020, and these ones were actually graded in perfect condition, graded super rare date, low mintage Goldbacks, and they're preserved in their holders here. Absolutely the most satisfying purchase Goldback wise I ever made. Cost me my firstborn son, but all good things are expensive, I guess. So yeah, these are 2020. Here's the one. You can see first day of issue. These ones are actually graded by PCGS instead of PMG. Gem 70, perfect mint condition for all of these. Here's the one. Got the 5, same thing. The 10. And then here's where things get a little interesting here. Now this is on the honor system. Let's play along. Let's have some fun here. I'm going to hold this up, see if I can get it in good light here. Let me tell you what, Goldback notes love to be looked at, but they do not like to be photographed. Alright, it's going to make it look ugly here because it's in direct light here, but at least you'll be able to read it. Honor system here. Tell me if you see anything wrong, and before you actually move forward in the video, see if you can write a comment as to what actually is wrong here. No cheating, skipping forward, and then just leaving the comment. That's no fun. For you to look over this thing, pause, and look at it for as long as you need. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and reveal it. So pause it now if you haven't left your comment yet. So if you look up here, 25 New Hampshire Goldbacks 2020. But you look on the actual Goldback. Uh-oh. 2021, what's going on here? So what actually ended up happening is there were so many supply constraints, I cannot stress it enough, in 2020 about Goldbacks that the demand just shot way up and they could not keep up with supply. It caused all kinds of issues with the delay to the actual release, the manufacturing delays for the New Hampshire Goldbacks. There was so many that were ordered of these graded first day of issue New Hampshire 2020 Goldbacks, and so few of the actual 2020 Goldback notes, they actually had to substitute some of the 2021s in the 2020 graded series just to fill orders. So yeah, this is actually a 2021, but it's graded a 2020 first day of issue. And it's important in the context of the history because it tells that story. So I'm actually happy that I got that, even though it's mislabeled and everything like that. And the 2020 would be more rare. The history behind it is still very cool. So moving on. Since the last one was actually a mislabel, there's a PMG replacement for the 2020 New Hampshire 25 Goldback. This one is actually labeled correctly. Is 2020 and 2020. Another interesting thing of note with this Goldback, let me zoom in on the serial number here. Here's what the serial number is supposed to look like. Let me get my pointer here. Here's what the serial number is supposed to look like. Alphanumeric with 2 letters and then 5 numbers. I know it's hard to read these on the earlier Goldback notes. The new serial numbers are much easier to read. But it's OY20907 is the serial number. And this was on the mislabeled PCGS one that we looked at earlier. Now, if we go back to the PMG one that's correctly labeled 2020, and we look at the serial number on that one, the serial number is not rotated 90 degrees relative to the artwork. It's upright. And what the heck is that? It's only 3 numbers. 201. I think that was another consequence of just how stressed they were to produce these things during that period of time. That's why I consider this also a very fortunate addition to the collection. It has a very significant historical story in Goldback's history. So yep, that's the 2020 New Hampshire 25 Goldback, both of them. The mislabeled PCGS and the correctly labeled PNG. And then here's the most valuable Goldback that I own. The 2020 New Hampshire 50. As I stated earlier, only 2,000 of these were ever minted, and even less survive today. I apologize for the less than perfect lighting here. But yeah, it's correctly labeled. It's first day of issue. 70 gem. Perfect condition. I can only imagine how few of these are going to be in such good condition in 10, 15, 20 years from now. And I am definitely going to protect this one. See the correct serial number on there. It's not one of those wonky up and down ones. Moving on, we've got a Wyoming Goldback, Alpha Edition, single Goldback. These were not labeled first day of issue, but that's okay. That's essentially just a marketing upcharge on part of the grading company. We know that they're first editions because it's an Alpha Edition. Just it doesn't have to say first edition for us to know they're first editions. You know what I'm saying? When companies say first day of issue, all that means is that they were received, I think, within a period of time, usually within 30 days or so of the series actually being first released. And usually it means that it has to come straight from the mint to the grading company in order for them to award it that. But like I said, we know that this is first issue because it has the A for Alpha and is correctly labeled Alpha Edition. So here's the 1 Wyoming. Here's the 5. Here's the 10. Notice all of them are in perfect 70-star gem rating. The 25 and the 50 Wyoming. Unfortunately, I'm still waiting for the South Dakota Alpha Editions to be released. Believe me, I'm going to pick one up as soon as it's available. But I'm still waiting on that, so I don't have them just yet. Here's just an interesting one that I ended up picking up by happenstance. I was on eBay one day looking for Goldbacks. This is probably like 7 or 8 months ago now when I was still new to Goldbacks. And I had noticed a listing for a Utah Goldback. It wasn't an Alpha Edition or anything like that. And it doesn't say first day of issue, but it was 70 star, and I'm like, okay, you know, like, can I get it for a deal, or what's going on? The serial number, I believe, was appropriate. Yep, the serial number is correctly denoted on the label, as is the year. But this says a Utah Goldback. And what do you see here? New Hampshire Goldback. See, as I mentioned at the very beginning, these were originally there was just going to be the Utah Goldback to begin with. So I imagine it was either just like a mistake on the person's part, or they incorrectly believed that these were all still referred to as Utah Goldbacks despite it being a New Hampshire Goldback, and they just were uneducated on it. These are still relatively new technology, so that would be understandable. But it's really cool that these are still so largely undiscovered that it was labeled incorrectly by a professional grading company, and I absolutely love the story behind that, so I wanted to add that to my collection. So I definitely bid on it quietly, didn't mention to anyone that, hey, I found an error, I'm gonna bid on it, you know, so they bid me up or anything, because I was absolutely gonna get it. Got my hands on it and then started telling it around, and people were like, oh, that's cool. So that's a really cool odd one that I got right there. Now the Silverbacks. You saw before that I had a whole binder full of them, and I am a huge fan of Silverbacks, man, believe me, if you can't tell. We'll just start with these four right here. These are just regular, run-of-the-mill Silverbacks, 2022. I gotta say, the Silverbacks are a lot easier to video, but you can see 4701s is this number right here. Then we've got 4702, 4703, and 4721. So I've got 3 in a series and then 1 odd one, but they're all graded in perfect condition. And the fact that 3 of them are in a series is just a bonus. Now the reason that these say red is because there's a red streak on the left. Now Goldbacker 00, I thought they all had a red streak on the left. Not quite. Because there were 100,000 of these minted, right? It even says on it, number blah 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 of 100,000. But for the first 1,000, instead of an alpha edition Silverback, they had the purple edition. And the purple edition has a purple streak on the security feature along the left. Now if you have a purple edition Silverback, that means it's one of the first 1,000 ever minted. So let's look at the number on this one. Number 77 of 100,000. That means of all Silverbacks ever made, this is number 77th ever to exist. And like I said, the Silver Dragon Silverback is the first silver arum to ever be made. So I have the 77th mintage of the first silver arum to ever be out there. That's really cool. If I could have number 1, I'd take it, but 77 is still pretty good. And then I've got one last one here. And this one is number 184. Now, believe it or not, these purple edition Silverbacks are going for like $800 a piece, and I've got 2 of them. But I'm not trying to make a profit off of it. They're not getting sold. Don't ask me unless you're prepared to sell me Guatemala or something. Because for me, it's all about the history and the story that they tell. And that is all my graded Goldback related arum notes here. And I keep that in this custom graded currency container that I found on eBay. Must have been a small seller or maker, because after I ordered it took like 3 friggin' months to get here. But I got 2 of them, so I keep them divided. Like I said, those are the Goldback ones, and then this one right here is exactly identical. And this one contains my non-Goldback arum notes. So this is the last thing I have to show, and then we'll go ahead and finish her up here. This is what the inside looks like. It's like a soft texture on the inside to keep it from scratching up your stuff, I guess. These are the other legal tender arum notes that are graded. Here's the Tanzanian. The other Tanzanian. All perfect 70 star gem. Cameroon. I think what I don't have is one of these that has a COA. But I definitely don't have one of those Breffany iQuints that's graded or with a COA. So I'll have to work on that. But yeah, this was the first legal tender arum to ever exist, all the way back in 2018. And I have a graded perfect condition one. And that was a year before Goldback ever was being made. So definitely an important historical item in that context. And that, my friends, is my Goldback collection. Unless I missed something somewhere, left it packed away or something like that, I think that's all I have. Now, I keep different groups of Goldbacks. The collectible ones I keep in the fashion that you just observed. The non-collectible ones are in one of two places. In my UPMA Goldback account, or physically in my possession in bundles of 100s. I can't think of a better SHTF money than a Goldback, so that's why I have those bundles. So those aren't all the Goldbacks I have, but those are almost all the collectible ones that I have. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end that there. Please consider joining us on the Discord. We're trying to grow it. We're trying to get some good people in there. And believe me, we already have a group of good people. But more is always better, right? So thank you. God bless you all. And remember, Jesus is the only way.
I upload videos on this subject and related subjects, so please consider subscribing if interested. If you have any subjects you'd like me to make a video on, I'm always open to suggestions. If you are interested in signing up for the UPMA, which is free, easy, does not attach to your social security number, or even require any payment methods to get started, please check out my video titled How to Sign Up for the UPMA. The UPMA offers free vaulting for Goldbacks. If you are not aware of what the UPMA is and want to learn more, check out my video titled What is the UPMA for more information. I will leave links to both videos in the video description. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Leave a comment, message me, or reach out directly to my contact information on my Linktree.